I do so love that theme tune. It reminds me that it is Bubbles and Splash time yet again. So welcome back everybody, welcome back, welcome, hello. Have you had a good week? What have you been up to? I bet it was exciting. I'm glad you're having such a good time and that you've come back again to join us here at Bubbles and Splash. Now, don't forget, you can send me pictures of the drawings you've been doing, or maybe a video of you singing the songs we've been learning, or a picture of the craft activities that you've made. You can send those to bubblesandsplash@christchurchpennington.com, and I would love to show everybody what you've been doing and what you've been getting up to. We'll have a little bit of a gallery for everybody to see your work. But right now, we have something really important to get back to, because last week we started learning about the story of Noah, and we got halfway through the story and you don't know how it ended. So welcome back to this week. Thank you for coming back again, and we're going to find out what happened to Mr. Noah and his ark. Do you remember this book? It was awesome, wasn't it? There were so many pictures in it and activities in it. So let's have a quick reminder of ourselves of what happened last week. Do you remember meeting Mr. Noah? And of course, and his family. Do you remember his son's name? They had some pretty special names, didn't they? They weren't like our names. Can anybody remember what any of them were called? Do you remember one of them was called after something you might put on your sandwich? And you remember Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham was the one what we said might be like something we put on one of our sandwiches. He had a strange name. Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah and his wife. We don't know his wife's name. And God gave Noah an instruction to build an ark. Do you remember? Because he was going to save the world. So Noah and his family got to building the ark. Once they had built it, they put lots of food in it so they could feed all the animals that God told them to bring on board. And then do you remember they brought the animals on board 2 by 2 by 2. They brought giraffes and elephants and pigs and sheep and penguins, everything that couldn't swim in the sea. The fish they left because the fish could be able to swim in the flood, but the animals wouldn't, so they brought them onto the ark. When the ark was all sealed up, the rains came down, and it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. And that's where we left them, wasn't it? They were on their boat and it was raining and the whole earth was covered in water, and we didn't know what was going to happen next. But we knew that God was going to look after Noah and his animals, because that's what he told them he would do. So 40 days and 40 nights it rained, and the rain came down and the lightning and the thunder crashed, and the animals and Noah rode on the boat, and they rode the waves as the waves went up and down and up and down. Oh my goodness, it must have been difficult. Oh, they must have got a bit seasick, because it would have been really stormy and the waves would have been crashing around. But the boat stayed in the water, and the animals and Mr. Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth and Mrs. Noah, they all stayed safe in the ark. Then, suddenly they realised they couldn't hear the rain. The flood was coming to a stop, and they'd see dry land again. So good Noah sent a pure white dove to find a safe dry shore. But finding nothing, back she came, so she left to look once more. This time the little dove returned with a leaf from an olive tree. There it is, look, there's the leaf, can you see that? The fresh green leaf proved it was true. Soon dry land they would see. So the dove had found a leaf. That meant that somewhere there was dry land and something was growing, and so there was hope that they would be able to leave the ark again. So safe and sound on solid ground, they finally left the ark. The flood had gone, they all rejoiced. Squawk, hiss, oink, meow, bark. And God said, "My good Noah, all the world I'll flood no more. When you see a rainbow, of my promise you'll be sure." So they found dry land, and the animals could get off the ark and could go and do the things that animals do again. And God made a promise to Noah. He put a rainbow in the sky and said, "The rainbow is my promise to you, that I will never flood the earth again. And I promise that." And to remind you of my promise, I'll put a rainbow in the sky. How many of you have seen a rainbow in the sky? Have you seen one? I've seen rainbows in the sky. And every time I see a rainbow in the sky, it reminds me of Mr. Noah. There he is up there with Mrs. Noah. And Shem and Ham and Japheth and all the animals on the ark. And it reminds me that God promised that Noah and his family would be safe, and that he would keep the animals safe, and that he would never flood the earth again. And do you know what? There are lots of promises in the Bible, just like the promise that God made to Mr. Noah. And one of the promises that Jesus said just before he went back to heaven to be with God was, I will be with you always. I'll be with you always. Not sometimes, always. Always I will be with you. So whether you are out and about with your mum and dad doing a bit of shopping, God's with you there. Or whether maybe you're lying in bed at night and you're a little bit scared because it's got a bit dark when your mum and dad turned out the light. And maybe you're worried that there's something under the bed. Well, do you know what? God will be with you then too. Or maybe you're about to try something new and exciting. Maybe a new task that you're going to do, or a new activity you're going to try. Maybe you're going to try riding your bike for the first time without the stabilisers on. God says, I'll be with you. Whatever it is, God's promise is always to be with you. And do you know what? God keeps his promises. He's never flooded the earth again since. But we still see the rainbows in the sky to remind us that God keeps his promises. Now, we've been using rainbows for different things recently, haven't we? So recently, because we haven't been able to go out, we've been painting rainbows for all the doctors and nurses that are working really, really hard at the moment to keep people well and healthy. And so you might even have a rainbow in your window in your house already. But we're going to go next door into my kitchen, we're going to do our craft activity, and we're going to make rainbows. So if you haven't got one already, you'll have one following this. So come with me into the kitchen and we'll get our rainbows done.